Welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Inside Track. We have a fabulous guest with us today. You've probably seen him all over LinkedIn recently. James Lorey, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Ryan.
Welcome. And we have a special guest back for the week. So Glenda, supposed to be on sabbatical for the podcast, but she's joined us for this week. So welcome back, Glenda. How are you?
Yeah, it's brilliant to be back. I'm excited, and this will be fun.
Yeah, always excited to have you back, Glenda. Probably the best place to start, James, is now. I can imagine most people in the industry know who you are, but just give us a whistle-stop tour. Who is James? What you're doing now? Sort of bit of a career snippet. Just give the watchers a bit about you.
Certainly will. Thank you, Ryan, and I'm really grateful for the invite as well. It's great to be part of this session. And I mean, in terms of me, I was thinking about this before the call. It's actually my 18th year in the health and fitness industry. Wow. So it's flown. It's absolutely flown.
Whippersnapper next to us too, though, to be fair, James.
I did think that, to be fair.
Exactly right. But I mean, I started in 2006 working for JJB health clubs back in the day. I studied at Loughborough, so graduated, fell into industry, absolutely loved fitness, health and fitness, and everything to do with our sector. Went through the traditional route then, Ryan, so sort of went down operation route, fitness manager, regional fitness manager. I run health clubs for a Sporter for a number of years.
Oh,
if
nice.
You remember those guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was great experience with a Sporter. They were really high-end premium health club facilities.
They were flying at the same time as Holmes Place and people like that, weren't they? Yeah. Where that big premium big box gym was the thing.
It was a very interesting time, wasn't it? In our sector, prior to the sort of budget boom as well. So I mean, spent a lot of time with those guys, and what I felt in operations was I wasn't really using my abilities, my skill set to its best ability. So I moved away from that, started as a personal trainer. That's where the journey with your management solutions and your personal training came about. Started recruiting and supporting trainers and keeping them around. And that was quite interesting at that point because, we've always had an inherent issue in the industry of keeping talent, keeping personal trainers active. So that was my bag. That was my passion. Absolutely loved that. And, I'm very much fascinated about the psychology of why things work and why things go wrong. So I fell in love really with that side of the business. And I guess fast forward then 10 years of kind of working on a regional level. Myself and Aaron took over Your PT under the umbrella company of Your Management Solutions in 2020. As we all know, that was coming off the back of COVID. And we were really highly confident that fitness professionals are going to be sought after. They've got a real big responsibility in this kind of changing environment, this world where health and fitness all of a sudden was pushed to the top of the agenda. We came out of COVID, just with probably about 85, 90 trainers. And we've grown that to just under 500, which is where we are now. So we've had some great growth in quite a short space of time. Some growing problems within that space as well, as all businesses do. But yeah, that's currently, where we're at. I mean, really excited.
And just to quickly pick, James, because obviously you guys come out and there was a lot of people left the industry after COVID. There was a lot of people obviously realized once they locked us down, there was no money available. They couldn't work. They couldn't really do anything. So they left and came, Tesco's drivers and all sorts of stuff. So how difficult was it then for your business to go from obviously this mass exodus, because it was for a lot of clubs, it was pretty significant, to then obviously drive into 5 times the number of trainers that you have now than you had at that stage?
Yeah, it was a big shift. But on reflection, I've mentioned this a few times. I truly believe it was a catalyst for change in a positive way as well. I do believe maybe the fitness professionals who were in the industry for maybe weak or the wrong reasons left and pursued other avenues. And it then left, the raw personal trainers, the raw fitness professionals who were there for the right reasons, who managed to pivot and navigate COVID, you know, in the correct manner. But I mean, we continued kind of, although there was no income coming into the business throughout the pandemic, we continue to work with PTs on the best of our ability, you know, helping them to move outdoors, helping them to move online, to ensure that they came back to a viable business as well. I think that was the key part.
Do you also think that it shifted a lot more business your way? Because obviously at the time they had a lot of PTs were doing it on their own. They're going in, paying huge rents at clubs, and almost unsupported, going in and doing it, going, I'm going to try and make it work. Then suddenly, obviously, because of the pandemic and everything that happened, it potentially forced more people to look on both sides. One, from a PT perspective, going, I want the support of a bigger brand. I want all the training that comes with it and all the great things you guys provide. But also the clubs going, do you know what? This idea of having individual PTs in our business is too hard to manage. Let's look at something like your PT to allow us to grow.
Yeah. I think so. It's a specialist area, you know. Personal training is quite a unique sort of area, and operators often don't have the time and resource to sort of really put their attention to detail into what is, for me, a vital mechanism in a successful operation. But what we've actually seen as well, Ryan, you know, is highly talented individuals come from different sectors into health and fitness. Because of the awareness and the association now, you know, that health and fitness is moving up everyone's agenda. That's a vital part of, you know, lifestyle commitments. We're finding people transitioning from different sectors with brilliant skill sets that plug straight into personal training.
I love it when you see someone who's been working on the stock market, you know what I mean, 200, 300, 400 grand salaries, and they're suddenly going, well, I'm converting because I really love fitness and I want to make a difference, and I'm going to, and you just go, wow.
It's a great point. I think, James, the pandemic did get people to really dig deep into their own core values, didn't it? And what was really important to them. And a lot of people have really shifted their mindset on what that success criteria is. You know, it's not just about earning money in life. Well, we know it's not that. It's about living your purpose, right? So I think that's great that you've seen that come through. That's good for us, right?
I think so. Absolutely. You know, now as a sector, we're attracting, you know, people who are valuable, you know, to our industry and can really move things forward. And, you know, the joined up approach about, you know, sort of working with the likes of the NHS and supporting Wellbeing and things of this nature, you know, we are, you know, in the strongest position that we've ever been as an industry to really, you know, really push forward on those methods.
Yeah.
Now I know you two have been doing some great work together. I've been a bit jealous, sat on the side, going, "Oh, well, I'd like to be part of that." But you guys have been doing some amazing work. So I'm almost going to drop it over to you two, because obviously you guys did an incredible white paper that's been published, and I think it really deserves an opportunity to discuss this more. So as it's your guys, I'm going to leave this one to you. So Glenda, you guys can take it away from here, because I think obviously, having read the study, I think it's incredibly important to our industry that people see this and see the importance of resilience, not just as a workforce, like we go out and work in business, but also our own workforce. So I think this is a really important point.
Ryan, I really appreciate you giving us the chance to discuss it. I think what I'd like to start by saying is that I feel really inspired by James, Erin, and the entire team at your PT, that they would be so given and willing to share their story with the industry. And I don't know if we've always been good at doing that, if I'm being honest. And I want to congratulate all of the team for being so transparent and basically allowing us to see part of their story from the inside. And I think that's really important. But just being really honest, is I was actually doing a keynote for Explore, and I met Erin, and I was really obsessed about his willingness to really engage with this idea that, especially post-pandemic, that we need to be building resilient organisations, and that really begins with our people. And I know, you know, I'm super passionate about this, but you cannot expect people to fill their cup, our members to fill their cup, if the people that lead the march don't fill theirs. And Erin bought into that message immediately. And after that lovely introduction, Erin, myself and James got onto a discovery call. And genuinely the rest was history after that, because I want to make it clear, what I loved about the Your PT story is they were already a very high performing team. So this wasn't about taking the team from a baseline of resilience that was in need of major intervention. That would be unfair, because actually they were already a high performing team. But in the spirit of James, and I see this every time James speaks on a podcast or when he delivers, his absolute passion for excellence was why I could convince James that we could just raise the dial. And
what was the study then? So I guess to give the layman's like myself, I mean, you guys are experts in this, in terms of resilient side of stuff. What were you guys trying to get out of it? What was the main crux of this study?
Yeah, great question. So for me, resilience is made up of mindset, skill set, and tool set. So what I wanted to work with the boys, Erin and James, on was demonstrating that by building resilience, you are setting the team up for future success where they feel empowered because they have the right mindset, skill set, and tool set. Now, they were not starting from a bad start. So this was really important. Sometimes that's even harder because you are getting marginal gains. But a company like Your PT, who wants to be leaders in their field, understand massively about the importance of marginal gains. So the study itself was a 4-month intervention where the whole team worked with myself and the We Talk Wellbeing team to work on a resilience program that was absolutely around raising the dial. And I must be clear that when we really get into the data, it's a bespoke approach, even although it's done as a group, because everybody's learning needs and everybody's resilience requirements are unique to them. So the data was critical. So we got that baseline data, and then we went into this 4-month program that was not just embedding positive psychology techniques and habit forming around resilience behavioral change. The big thing that really makes this special was the embedding of coaching throughout, which was the one-to-one coaching. Maybe, James, you could tell Ryan a little bit more about what that was like to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, you know, we enjoyed the full journey, working alongside Glenda and Emma. We Talk Wellbeing. The energy, the camaraderie between the team was massive. And going back to my point earlier, I guess, around sort of a fascination around kind of psychology, I guess, of dropout. A lot of people leave our industry, and a big contributor to this is lack of resilience. The way we're structured as a senior team at Your Management Solutions and Your PT, we've got a lot of ex-military personnel. So you can imagine they've got sort of stresses and strains, you know, within their daily method of operation. And it's hard to rationalize sometimes the decisions maybe personal trainers are making. So we put this in place as really kind of a tool to really accelerate, you know, the good stuff that we were doing and look for those marginal gains. But, you know, from a coaching perspective, that's enabled our regional directors to really step back and sit into that kind of coaching mantra again, rather than be so direct. You know, they're now sort of reflecting, they're looking objectively at certain situations and finding solutions to the problems that we face, because, you know, we're not shying away from the fact that we're not perfect as a company. And I think this was the big message here is, you know, let's look at the extra couple of percentage, you know, so that we can serve the operators that we work with at the optimal level. And as a byproduct, what we've actually found is we've pulled out some amazing stories, you know, real life stories from the personal trainers, the heart and soul of our business, and from our senior team as well, that we probably weren't aware of when we started this journey. So it was enlightening, and as a team sort of building exercise, which it wasn't really it wasn't really put forward for that reason, but it worked out really well in the end. So yeah, it was great to.
I'm just thinking about the importance, what you're alluding to there, as well as that raising of self-awareness, isn't it? The thing that, Ryan, most people don't get the opportunity to do in senior leadership is actually stop for a moment, look in the mirror, and really get aware of the things that are holding you back or sabotaging yourself, or the things that are really incredible about what you do that you just don't shine a light on, because we go at a lot of things with that negativity bias.
I can also imagine when you are a high performing team, like you guys are, this sort of thing, you almost go through because you're successful, you're winning all the time, and you're not actually thinking about this because you're winning so much. And it's only then when you hit a block potentially further down the line that you go, oh shit. And that's probably where a lot of companies then go, Glenda, we need your help. Whereas what you've done here, James, is gone, actually, let's review this while we are flying and on top and everything else, and we make those little changes to keep us going forward.
Well, actually, it's critically important that you can celebrate the wins. And I know that James wouldn't mind me saying this, but as a team, collectively, not just your PT, but globally, we're not always brilliant at really sitting in the amazing stuff that's happened, because we'll be focusing in on the things that still need to improve. And yes, we need to do that. But I think that what we love doing together during the process was celebrating the wins. And as James said, the actual richness of that and how that will motivate people and really drive their energy, because the foundation of resilience is always around energy. And the energy together was really something to behold when you see that build as a team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think particularly for us as well, these days we're all sort of in more of a remote working culture. And there's something to be said by just protecting that time, dedicating that time to bring your team together, set some common objectives and really work together collectively as a team. And, everyone's got different skill sets. We're blessed really with the talent and abilities that we have within our senior team. And I think that it just pulled out really, how special the guys are. And it was a journey. But for us, Ryan, it's only the start. We've got other plans.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I wasn't sure whether we could talk about them yet, but as you brought them up, you can go into it, because you guys have got a program to go further forward now with sort of health coaches and all sorts of stuff. Do you guys want to go through what you're trying to do, what that is?
Well, from a We Talk Wellbeing perspective, we very much value the sort of strategies put in place. So we're going to continue working with Glenda, Emma and the team from a senior management level to move, keep moving in the right direction. But then I think, where your PT has really excelled over the last couple of years is finding the right talent to fit, the facilities that we serve. And there's been a big piece for a number of years, and we're all aware of it, around well-being. Absolutely. And well-being provision within health and fitness facilities. So, we believe that we've probably got a bit of a recipe for success here as a collaborative effort with We Talk Wellbeing to effectively grow a network of wellbeing coaches. So this is the sort of start of the journey, and we're anticipating that's going to be a very valuable service within gym facilities over the forthcoming years.
I think it's important to sorry, Glenn, just quickly. I think it's important to identify that our health and well-being isn't all about fitness, and I think that's where the big shift is coming, isn't it? From mental health to everything else, going for whether it be from nutrition to mindset to everything else. And I think this is obviously Glenda talks about this all the time, and but it's finally getting its way into it. And if you guys can be a major part in driving that forward, I think that's really really good thing to see.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think it's really important that when you look at the results of the case study that we've done with your PT, that when you actually really break down the shift and the results, they're really something that we should labour the point around, because for me, one of the most rewarding pieces of the whole study is that post-pandemic, and James alluded to this when he said that new people are coming into the sector, but it's absolutely critical that fitness businesses, with their vision and their values as they move forward for the future, that lines up with the people that are actually doing the work. And what we've seen in the pandemic is the reason why we got a lot of quiet quitting, as we call it, and people moving into our industry from other industries, is because there's been a real disconnect in terms of the understanding of future focus, that it's aligned. And I think what was beautiful to see is that the work that we did really embedded and consolidated the alignment of YPT's values and how they line up with the individual values of the people that lead that. And when you can get that synergy, you are setting that company up for serious success. If those values don't align, it can feel very conflicting for the person that you're asking to deliver on your vision. And that was a major, major improvement in the study, is that James seen a 20% improvement in future focus of the team. So that's going to be incredible for them pushing forward on their vision. The other one that I really want to talk about, because you've just mentioned it, Ryan, is we've seen a reduction in the impact of pressure, 25% reduction in the impact that has on someone's well-being. And I know I repeat, I said it at the beginning, but if we're going to work on the well-being of our members, we have to have the people that lead that well. And absolutely, that was really rewarding to see. And then the other massive big shift is you automatically think that the fitness industry, our energy is amazing, but we're under a lot of pressure in this industry. It's fast moving. It's changed more than most industries post-pandemic because of now that hybrid working and how we've got to deliver. And that's testing people's skill set. It's testing their capabilities. And actually, I'm going to put it out to the people that are listening to this. Have you set up your teams and your organization to be more resilient based on what the new skill set requires? And actually, we've seen a 22% improvement in energy levels. And what do you do with a 22% increase in your energy? That's going to be really potent for the delivery of what James, Erin, and the regional directors are trying to do with their teams, right?
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I mean, in terms of, if people want to read the white paper, it is out there. I know it's on Glenda's. We'll put a link to it at the end of this as well, so people can see it. And then obviously, if they do want to find out more, to get in touch with you guys. So, in terms of PT, James, where do you think we're going as an industry now? Do you think there's going to be a more prominent role for the personal trainer? Because I think obviously we were joking earlier about in terms of you've been in the industry 18 years. I'm 25 now, and it's gone from employed very much to freelance, and potentially almost dropping back to this sort of hybrid model where there's some employed, some freelance. Where do you think this PT model is going?
Yeah, I think that's a great great question, to be fair, Ryan. So it has massively evolved, and I think personal trainers are multi-skilled, a lot these days. It's actually interesting, a lot of academic course providers now going back to the old school way, combining massage therapy with personal training. You're learning about the same stuff essentially. So it's quite interesting to see. But I think in terms of sort of personal training, adopting more of a coaching role is paramount as we sort of evolve as an industry. But nowadays, what we've also got to consider is personal trainers are competing with, online metrics and online interventions more so than ever before. And that's an interesting space. It's a very interesting and confusing space for personal trainers. So you take the journey of a new PT coming to the industry, by way of default now, they automatically assume that to become successful, they need to be an online coach. Now, what we talk a lot about within your PT is about earning a living before chasing a fortune. And that is critical. It's a critical message to anyone new joining the industry, because they just get confused. With confusion, then, it comes a lack of sort of direction and ultimately a fallout, which is a travesty in my eyes. Never like seeing that happen. But, what we sort of established from a PT perspective to keep personal trainers interested and hungry, they want three things. Number one is they want to be part of a team. So PTs actually, we see them working in silos a lot, but actually they got drawn to a team. A lot of them come from team environments. They might have participated in sport previously. So they like being part of a team. We saw that massively with our Level Up event last week, which I'm sure we'll chat about later. But the second one then is PTs want career advancement. They don't want to hit the ceiling of opportunity. So they want, a direction of travel where they can pivot and move forward, develop themselves from a professional standpoint, and develop their business from that standpoint as well. And the final one then is fair remuneration. I still think largely a lot of our industry kind of devalues personal training, but personal trainers they deserve reward and recognition for the sweat and tears that go into running a business. But yeah, we've seen that evolution going back to the Esporta days. That was very much an in-house model. That was a split revenue share, as PTs kind of operated. It was a safe option, though. It carved out some fantastic fitness professionals who are still here to this day, operating in the industry. But very much now we've seen that evolution of the self-employed model, which it actually puts the onus on the PT. If you put the effort in, you put the graft in, you get the reward. And I think that is a fair operating model for any business. But yeah, we certainly see that more nowadays, across the UK.
And how does it work with you guys? Just for those out there that don't know how you guys work.
So we operate two models essentially, Ryan. So the first one's a fully licensed model. If Ryan Charlesworth runs 10 facilities across the UK, you don't want the hassle and headache of managing, supporting PT yourself. You outsource it to your personal training. So we take care of everything. The onboarding journey, the recruitment, the implementation of the personal training service within your facility. And we assign a mentor that looks after your facilities as well. So they recruit, onboard, mentor the personal trainers. We provide all the bells and whistles. So, your marketing resources, your CPD accreditation, your uniform. We provide insurance for all these guys as well. So they're fully equipped to launch a viable business then from your facilities. The key metric for us then, Ryan, is length of stay. Our passion is keeping PTs in the industry for a very long time.
What I've been very impressed with is, as a resilience expert, I think that what has been missing in our industry is that when you mentioned that PTs are coming in and are being self-employed, we know that one of the biggest drains in resilience is relationships, right? And not having support networks in place. And actually, Ryan, what I've been really impressed by is the mentorship and the relationship that the PT can build with a regional director at your PT means that feeling of being on your own and that sense of isolation and loneliness goes away. And that is absolutely critical for building the ability of that PT to remain resilient. And I think that if, as an outsider, seeing the journey of your PT, I think that's why they're seeing a longer stay than the industry average, because they're building support networks around the PT. And you've done that even more so, James, recently with these Level Up events, which is just super cool. And I know you were going to mention that, right?
Yeah.
That's something that's also really inspiring, that these have added to the support that these PTs are getting, right?
Well, let's jump into that now then. Do you want to explain what these Level Up events were all about, James?
I'd love to. Yeah, absolutely. I think for a long time now, we've been thinking about running events specifically for personal trainers. Again, where we can just be laser focused. So we actually surveyed our trainers. We sort of established what the best days are, what the best sort of time commitment looks like. So we've launched a calendar of level up events throughout 2024, where we're bringing together personal training communities so that they can network, grow from a professional development standpoint, and succeed within our industry. Those are the three sort of elements that we look to achieve from it. But the focus points of these sessions are the critical pillars of running a successful business. It's about client acquisition, it's about sales process, and it's about retaining your clients. So the key aspects are in there in a 4-hour workshop. So we launched our first one last week in Twickenham. We had over 50 personal trainers in the room. The energy was massive. It was so inspiring. The speakers were on point. As part of this as well, the attendees, the delegates for the day, they have a workbook that they effectively create a blueprint for how they're going to level up and move forward in the industry. But I mean, the feedback we got was phenomenal. So we're looking at building momentum on that, Ryan, I think. So we're going geographically all around the UK throughout 2024. And aside from that as well, we finished with a panelist of VIP kind of speakers, personal trainers, active personal trainers. So if you're a new PT and you're in that room learning from all the experience, the shared combined experience of the 4 panelists was 75 years of industry experience. So if you're a new PT sitting in that room, you can't help but be inspired. It was a good start.
And in terms of where's the next one?
Next one's in Portsmouth. So we're heading down the south coast. We're holding these in Cardiff as well this year. We're doing Sheffield in Bramall Lane, Sheffield United's ground, King Power Stadium, Leicester City's ground. We're holding one up in Scotland, and we're looking at Lee Valley as well. Will be our final one, which is in July. So yeah, we've got a busy 6 months ahead.
Absolutely. And so in terms of the sort of PTs that you bring on, because obviously you guys are delivering an amazing service to these clubs, what do you guys look for in a PT? So because obviously I know you guys interview them and you only take on obviously the best, you don't take on everybody. So what are you guys looking for in a really good PT?
Yeah, that's great. Non-negotiables for us is personal trainers have to be teachable and willing to work hard. Those are the non-negotiables, because ultimately it's not easy. It's not easy to be a self-employed PT, to dedicate yourself every day, to get through setbacks, to bounce forward when you get rejection. So we actually go through a 10-stage recruitment process, Ryan. It starts with basic screening call, goes to an interview presentation. The PT needs to show us that they've got the business acumen to succeed. They've got the right qualifications, which is a big factor in our industry at the moment, that they've got a viable qualification, and they've got the raw tools. If you've got the basics, we're very confident as a team that we can teach the rest, marketing, sales, plugging gaps. But we've recently introduced a success matrix where we basically look and analyze where these gaps are. So if a personal trainer has a gap in, maybe marketing or sales technique, we can be focused in our mentoring strategy then to help them overcome any gaps that they've got, so that they can fully, evolve as a fitness professional. But I mean, that's taken years to sort of develop.
I'm very conscious I need to drop off, guys, but I'm just going to say, because in the spirit of, I'm just listening to what James said there, and he said the number one thing to look for is hard work. Well, in the resilience world, we call that perseverance, And actually, you've just described, James, thank you for that, because it makes me happy that you really appreciate the importance of that attribute. And actually, I would just go as far as saying that although it's not sexy and it's really underrated, I think it's critically important that they have the patience as well, right? And that patience is something that I think that we really do double down on when we work on building resilience, because, we're living in that instant gratification world, aren't we? That we're seeking dopamine all the time, when actually we need to get out of that a bit more and understand that sometimes the things you have to work for the hardest are the most rewarding when you get there. So thanks for the reminder, James. But Ryan, James, it's been a pleasure jumping on with you. We're excited about continuing our work with the regional director team and the work that we're going to do for 2024. So as long as James is open to it, we'll report back, right, James?
Of course, yeah. Thanks, Glenda. Always great to see you.
And you, buddy. And Ryan, nice to see you. Missed you. So it'll be good to get back on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool, nice one, Glenda. Well, we will catch you soon, James. We'll carry on for a few more minutes. Just you want to give us a rundown in terms of what's next for your PT? I mean, obviously you've grown exponentially in the last sort of 2 or 3 years. So what's next?
Well, I mean, we've got a couple of different divisions to the overall business, Ryan. So as part of your management solutions, we got your personal training, really well established, obviously in the UK. We're looking at sort of exploring international opportunities.
Oh, wow.
We started working with a group of gyms in Kuwait, which has been really exciting. And we're actually at the point now where we've recruited some fantastic PTs, and we're now developing them to becoming tutors and assessors so that they can actually deliver education over in the Middle East as well. So we see that as a market that we can really
it's a market I think that needs to improve. I think the one thing, if you look at and I'm not saying that the current training provision's bad, I just think when you look at what's the best way to say this, you can almost get a PT course at a weekend, and we all know that doesn't help our industry. I think a PT course, like you say, it needs to be a proper course. It needs to have that mentoring, it needs to have all that behind it, so that when these PTs come out, one, they're quality PTs and they've got the knowledge, but they've also got the support element behind it as well. So having a company like yours involved may just be the way forward.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, and that goes into the next division then. So 2022 we launched your academy, which is a personal training provision. The reason we launched that, Ryan, was for exactly the reasons you just mentioned, bridging that gap, making sure that there was a seamless process from education to application into our industry. And your academy, it's there to serve the operators that we work with, so we can actually launch academies from the venues that we operate from. So you've got that full circle approach. You can, if you're a member of a gym and you're looking for a career change, you can qualify in that facility and you can then work at that facility. So that's headed up by a chap called Kevin Baker, and Kev's got a fantastic experience, in sort of education. So we're really excited about where that division is going to go over the next few years. And the third division that we currently operate is the Wellness Institute, which is essentially the sourcing and deployment of master trainers to deliver education for a global equipment manufacturer. So they're a well-known company, and we're sort of sit in the background and provide the master trainers that go out and educate teams on how to use the equipment appropriately and effectively. And again, that's something that is UK based currently and can be extended out into Europe and different parts of the globe as well. So yeah, we've got a few bits going on and a few other plans. So yeah, things. It's
exciting though. I mean, it's just. Yeah. I mean, I can remember before you were probably involved in your PT, and it was sort of simmering along, wasn't it? And then obviously you guys took it, and it's gone from that to that almost overnight in a way. And you guys are everywhere at the minute, and I think it's brilliant. But I think what's good is we went through this period as an industry not really knowing what we were doing with PTs. You've obviously got the really good PTs that have gone out, done their own thing and whatever, and they'll always survive and they'll always do their thing. But I think a lot of clubs were like going, what do we do? We're not quite sure. We'll bring people in on low rent, no rent. And there wasn't really a model that was working for people. And I think what you've done is you sort of come in and gone, this works for us, it works for the PT, and it works for the club.
Yeah.
Let's put this together and let's grow PT and let's grow that that ability to deliver that additional service for people.
100%. Yeah, 100%. We probably sit in quite a unique position because we do sit with the operator hat on and the PT hat on. And then we can kind of see where the crossroads meets, where the best sort of outcomes for all parties sort of collide. And I think that's really important, actually, because, I think sometimes when you look at it on face value, if you're running your 10 clubs, PT revenue, is that really a bigger sort of KPI, or is it the member impact, the member experience side of it as well? So, and we tweak models, we bespoke them to fit the operators that we work with. We've got a white label approach as well in some situations, right?
Okay.
Where, again, our vehicle sits in the background, providing the talent into the clubs that's desired. So, yeah,
I think people shouldn't underestimate, and I think some of the clubs that I'll go and work in, you'll have freelance PTs, and then you'll have the club, and they're almost separate. They provide a service, that's it. And I think what people fail to realize is if they're part of your team, and I've always done this, even from my time at Holmes Place when I was a young duty manager looking after the gym teams or whatever, it was really important we brought all the freelancers, whether they were freelance PT, whether they're freelance class instructors, they were part of the team, and they were treated as such. And I know you have to be careful because of HMRC rules and stuff like that. You don't want to be giving these people holidays that they're not entitled to, but you need to treat, because what happens then, if you treat them as a team member, they treat the members as members, not as the client. And it makes a massive difference then to retention and everything else that goes around the club.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we encourage, it to be an extension of your employed team, essentially. I think that's where you get the best value. And again, going back to what I said earlier about what PTs actually want, they want to be part of a team. They want to be sort of invited and feel part of the fabric and part of the mission. I think it's important for every, gym facility to have, a specific mission, and the PTs will then find their way of how they can support that.
They can't support the client journeys either, James. I'm a big believer in having set client journeys, so we understand where the client goes, when we introduce them to various bits and bobs of the club. One, they pay more, the yield goes up, they stay longer, they spend more money. So but if your PTs aren't part of that client journey, you almost pass them over to the PT and then it stops.
Yeah.
And you sort of go, you need them part of the club so that whole journey continues. You want them to recommend your classes. You want them to recommend the nutrition drinks on that. You want them to recommend being part of the club and attending the socials. You want your PTs at those events.
Yeah.
That's what makes a club work. Not having separate contractors delivering a separate service all the way along the line.
Yeah, that's and that comes down to education, doesn't it? So yeah, having that joined up approach, using PTs as part of that fabric is massively important. I think the studies show, well, what we've sort of analysed is the average length of stay of a membership is +7 months if you're engaged with a personal trainer. So, when you look at that in terms of value to an organisation, that's massive.
Absolutely. And just out of interest, what do you look for? Because I can imagine you don't work with every club. I can imagine some clubs aren't suitable. So you want the perfect PT. Absolutely, you got those. What do you look for in a club when you're going in and going, actually, can we work with you?
Yeah, well, it's going to be viable, from personal trainer perspective. So we do an audit. We do a complimentary audit whenever someone sort of starts the process of engaging with your personal training. We offer a complimentary audit. We go to club. We analyze a couple of key parameters that we know would make success to a PT. So we very much go in with a personal trainer's hat on at that stage and think, would I personal train at this facility? If the answer is yes, obviously we'll work with the operator. But it's important for us to do that due diligence to do the gym's justice effectively. So
well, it's doing the gym and your PT, because in the end of the day, you put a PT into a club that you knew from the outset was never going to work. It doesn't breed the right trust or the right results, does it? So nobody wins.
Yeah, and there's lots of factors that come into that then, right? And so the member demographic, the member count within the facilities, the current operating model, what's been successful, what's been unsuccessful there. So there's lots of elements that play into what an audit would look like. But ultimately, then off the back of that, we create kind of a proposal and an evaluation of what personal training could look like. But I mean, the time we've been in the industry now, we understand what the expectations are and the penetration rates that is realistic to achieve. And again, it all comes down to appetite from the members' perspective. We've got clubs of 1,800 members and 15 personal trainers in there.
Wow.
And we've got other clubs where the ratio might be 1 trainer per 800 members. Do you know what I mean? So there are chasms in different sort of areas that we operate within.
And just out of interest, it may not even be a stat, but do you tend to find that changes throughout the country, different locations in the country, or does it tend to be the type of club? Like, does Wales have a better PT uptake than, say, the East Midlands? I don't know. I don't know whether that's a...
Yeah, but a bit of both, realistically. Yeah, it depends what the sort of value proposition is of the facility and the local demographic in terms of the membership types operating within those clubs. So it's normally a bit of a mix. But, the great thing about the structure with your PT, because every PT is aligned with a mentor, we've constantly got this feedback loop of how successful PTs are doing. If we see that there's, a real growing appetite in a certain area, then we can really hone in on that and support the operator. We don't want to be in a position where there's potential clients of PTs waiting to have personal training. And it happens on occasions. We've got lots of PTs with waiting lists. So that tells us we probably need to recruit more PTs or work with a PT to level them up so that they become a master trainer and perhaps assign a personal trainer under them. They can open up a new diary and then facilitate the demand for personal training within the centre. So that ticks 2 boxes. It looks after the member and it helps the personal trainer with their career development aspirations.
Absolutely, gives them growth, so they're not stuck in that same position. Now, I'm obviously conscious of time. Just a couple more questions to pick your brains on. In terms of the industry, do you think we're in a healthy position? Do you think we're going in the right direction? What are your thoughts there?
Collectively as an industry, well,
yeah.
I mean, it feels like we're going in the right direction to me, Ryan. I work a lot on gut feel, and we've always joked as an industry of people don't wake up until February, this, that, and the other. This year has completely not been like that. It's been from the 1st of Jan, it has been 100 miles an hour. So it feels like everyone is buoyant at the moment, which is only a positive thing.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the development that we're seeing with the likes of UK Active and the governing bodies in the industry as well, I think is really positive. I think there's been
a shift in that in the last 12 months in particular. And I've always been one to I quite happily voice my opinion, but over the years, I didn't really feel we were getting everything from them. And to be fair, they're also not governing bodies, are they? They've sort of been thrust into that more than anything else. Yeah. But I do think there's been some big shift in terms of how they're approaching it, what the activities they're doing. There've been a lot more audible, so we know more about what's going on, because I think that was half the problem. They were doing a lot of things and not telling everybody. I think absolutely SimSpa and UK Active and EMD and even UK Sport, because that all fits together. I think there's a lot more. I do think the government need to start getting on board, but maybe a change in government might be a bit more appropriate on that one. We'll leave my views on Rishi Sunak elsewhere.
I avoid political debate on a Tuesday. So
well, I do on my podcast because we'll be here for hours if I do. But I think, yes, you're right. Absolutely, there's been a big change in that. And I think that can only be a positive for our industry going forward.
And from a personal training perspective then, I mean, we've seen growth year on year since the pandemic. So, I mean, we were up 30% versus last year. So, I mean, that only shows a positive trajectory for the fitness professionals coming into the industry at the moment. A lot of questions I get asked are people becoming qualified on a more routine basis and things like that. And to be fair, I think largely across the sector, the education standards are vastly improving currently as well. So, from where we've got our endeavours with your academy, but the other training providers out there as well are really leading the way. They're doing their due diligence. The core structures have been reformed, and they're now industry relevant. So I mean that bridge is, that gap is being bridged phenomenally well. I mean on both fronts, I think we're heading in the right direction. It's really positive.
Awesome. And one final question is, what motivates you? So as an individual, James, what motivates you to do what you do every day?
Oh, that's I wasn't expecting that, Ryan.
No.
I mean, I said at the start, you know, I'm hugely passionate about health and fitness. I absolutely love our industry, and I'm really proud of what we do, you know, on a day-to-day basis at your PT. In terms of what motivates me outside of personal training, your PT and your management solutions, I do a lot of coaching. So my boy's 8, he's involved in rugby and football teams. And
Good lad.
I was the silly dad who put his hand up at the start and went, yeah, I'll take the team. So
I did that with cricket for a while, and then thankfully he got to 16 and I could relax for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I throw a lot of energy and effort, and it's important for me. You know, we're really, really busy. You know, we got really tight schedules, and it's a nice release for me as well. And sort of, you know, working with kids is hugely rewarding.
For anyone who doesn't coach, James, because obviously it's different, because obviously we've both been personal trainers and stuff like that. But if there's people out there whose kids play sport and whatever, and they think, oh, I don't know enough about the sport, they should really dive in. I mean, just as an example, when I started coaching cricket, it was like under 8s, similar thing, and it really was like herding cattle. We had 80 kids, and there was 3 of us, and you know what I mean. You can do drills and stuff like that, but just that ability to see a kid go from not being able to catch a ball to be able to catch a ball, all that sort of stuff. And so parents, there's so many courses out there. Most your clubs will get free training. So if you want to go do your level 1, level 2, whatever coaching for specific sports, Sport England generally pay for those courses. I know mine was paid for. I'm sure rugby does the same and everything. Yeah, so if parents are out there going, I don't really know, just go and do it. Kids that age don't need a professional, you know, Borthwick or whatever to be coaching them. They need someone who's going to make it fun, someone they know, someone who's got the basic skills, and it's an amazing thing to do as a parent, to go and help coach. If you're helping coach, your assistant coach, it's a brilliant thing to do.
Absolutely, yeah. And qualifications aside, I think the question anyone should be asking themselves is, you know, do you want to be a good role model? And if the answer is yes, then get involved in that side of it as well. So, I mean, that keeps me motivated as well. I think it's important to have, you know, things outside of your working environment that you know, keep you motivated and on top of things. And yeah, aside from I run the occasional 10K, Ryan, but yeah, that's never a fun.
I did running when I was in my early 20s, and then I did the London Marathon and Great North in a year, then gave up running completely. That was it. I've never done a race since. I was just like that. I've watched 2 big ones. I'm done. That's it. So that was 22. I'm 47 now, so I don't intend to do any more. I don't know why. Cricket, golf, tennis, things like that I can do. Running, I just can't see the value in it. I know that's wrong. I just can't. So I'm glad you enjoy it, but we'll never be doing it together. Appreciate your time this morning, James. It's great to have you on finally. It's amazing to see your guys' success, and it's really good because you're everywhere now. And so I love it, and PT is so valuable for our industry, and it's great to see somebody getting it right. I think that's the key, and giving people the opportunity to get it right. So it's really good to have you on. Now, if anybody does want it, whether they're a club, whether they're a personal trainer, if they want to get in touch with you, James, we'll put all your details at the end of the podcast.
Amazing.
Also, obviously, you can find James on LinkedIn, Facebook, pretty much everywhere, or just Google your PT. So it's can't miss you guys, but I think it's a really valuable business in our industry. So thanks for everything you do. We will definitely get you on again with Glenda once obviously we've got a bit more from your guys' study. So we'll carry on with that. And appreciate your time. So thanks for coming on.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Really grateful, Ryan. And we'll catch up again soon.